Will Spider-Man and his team of young allies be able to take down the Hobgoblin and stop him from shifting the tide of power in the gang war? Well, let's hop into the pages of Miles Morales Spider-Man issue number 16 and find out what happens next together, shall we? So then, picking up directly from where the last issue left off, Miles and his team had actually managed to corner the Hobgoblin in his hideout, only to be taken aback by the brand new modifications that Kingsley's protege, the Rabble, has managed to work. Apparently his suit and his weapons have all gotten heavy-duty upgrades. Not that you would be able to tell by looking at them. In fact, I'm heavily reminded of that Simpsons bit. Well, you see, I just took the costume we had now and added some fins to break down wind resistance, and I think these racing stripes are pretty smart. I kid, it's actually not the costume Miles and his friends need to look out for. It's the brand new legion of Hobgoblin drones that the Rabble has built for Kingsley. And why, yes, before you even have to ask, the drones all look like little gliders, and they give Spider-Man one hell of a hard time. Now, while this battle is being fought inside the warehouse outside, Scorpion, Starling, and Shift are doing everything they can to hold the line against Hobgoblin's hired Z-list villains. It's actually during this fight Matt Gargan ends up doing probably the smartest thing he might ever have done in his entire life. He basically breaks it to the other villains that no matter how this fight ends, they're gonna get screwed over by Kingsley, because Kingsley's a goblin, and any goblin, regardless of color, is never gonna share credit with anyone. However, if they were willing to join forces with the Cape Killers, they could screw Kingsley over first, and if they do well enough, Agent Gao might actually end up wiping their entire records. Yeah, that's right, everyone. Scorpion is the one who actually ends up saving the day in this issue. Wrap your head around that. Miles really is just that good of an influence, bringing out the better angels in absolutely everyone he meets, even loser villains. Sadly, though, the only person whose heart Miles can't change is actually the Rabble. She's still pissed at him for thinking that he ruined her life with that whole school lottery. And while at first Miles actually makes fun of this fact, basically saying that being this petty and this hung up on the past and this unable to move on is just a really, really bad look, and it is. Eventually, he just has to end up pitying her, and I mean, come on, she's young, full of potential, and yet she's out here carrying water for Kingsley, carrying water for Madame Mask. It's all really pathetic, though to the Rabble's credit, she does actually manage to get some of her heat back once she realizes she's not going to be able to beat Spider-Man and his friends. She does ultimately decide to leave Hobgoblin holding the bag, as she had already cut a backroom deal with Madame Mask, who promised to give her an entire AIM research facility if she was willing to use her tech abilities to build Mask-side weapons for the big upcoming battle. In fact, if you've been reading the main Amazing Spider-Man book, you've already seen how that worked out. With his mentee abandoning him and his hired help quickly turning against him, Kingsley ends up doing what he basically always does in this situation and threatens to blow himself up. A fact of which even Miles himself is getting sick of. Like, come on, man, you did this in our last fight. You can't possibly keep using the same tricks over and over again. Only he does, but this time he has more bombs. Meaning that Miles is eventually forced to double back, not only to save his own life, but to save the life of Miss Marvel and all of his other would-be teammates who joined him in this battle. And hey, speaking of battles, this one might be over, but the war is still far from over. Agent Gao still makes it clear that her and the Cape Killers plan to bring Miles in, despite the fact that they're all basically great friends right now. Gust even fangirls a little bit, saying that she's going to tell her parents that she got to hang out with Spider-Man for the day. The actual gang war itself is far from over. Rabble ran off to join Madame Mask's side, and Peter calls Miles saying that the big final battle is about to be held in Central Park. And why, yes, before you even have to ask, Miles and Peter are totally cool again, having worked out their issues. Geez, again, it's like that was always part of the story. And there was always meant to be a character arc tying these two stories together, but some people just jumped the gun or something. And yeah, it's on that note right there the comic comes to a close as Miles goes to reinforce Peter. And so that was Miles Morales Spider-Man issue number 16, everyone, the big finale of this gang war arc. And as far as ending goes, this one was okay. It did feel a little inconsequential in the grander scheme of things, but I don't blame Ziegler for any of this. The story kind of had its hands tied by the bigger events of gang war and the fact that it ended up being even half as good as it was. It was nice to see Miles work through the issues he's been having with Peter, again, thanks in no small part to all the good therapy he's been having. Getting Miles to reunite Miss Marvel was good, but oh boy, would I have loved that to have been a whole issue. In fact, moving forward, I hope Cody Ziegler isn't afraid to have Kamala drop by more, as it feels like there's a ton left unsaid between these characters. Likewise with Scorpion, who has grown by leaps and bounds in this series. Shit, he's he's basically part of the goddamn family now. I hope another writer doesn't come along and totally forget about all of this character growth and end up sabotaging this, because that happens way too much in comic books and I would hate to see it. This also isn't the last we've seen of Hobgoblin. I really like how Cody Ziegler has breathed fresh life into the new character, and geez, Kingsley's basically thrown down the gauntlet in this series and said, hey, I'm your new arch nemesis. And well, I can really only give this finale a 6 because, again, not a lot of stuff of note actually happened in it. I will be very excited to see what the next arc holds now that we can return to our regularly scheduled Spidey programming.
Hey there everyone, it's your old pal Cape Joel again, thanking you so much for watching to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, why not check out my Amazon link down in the description. Yes, that's right, the Cape Joel channel officially has its own Amazon storefront now. You can pick up a comic or anything else for that matter, and if you did, you'd really be helping me in the channel. So with that out of the way everyone, I will see you again next time. Bye-bye.